just for fun, I put together an athlete profile in the style of those stats sheets that you'd have when you're playing Mario Kart and you're trying to pick a vehicle and a character. This shows you how I think I stack up as an athlete when comparing myself to the field of 2,500-ish other athletes who will toe the line on September 8th. So taking a look at the profile I put together, I've rated my relative abilities in terms of talent and speed in the swim, the bike, and the run. Swim is definitely my strongest when comparing myself to the other athletes. I believe I am well below average on the bike, and I consider myself pretty smack dab in the middle, pretty average on the run, given that my marathon PR is 3:53. I'll be curious to see where I stack up for my splits for each of these events during the race. I have a feeling that this will confirm my hunch, but in my post-race video, I'll show where my places in each race compare to this kind of prediction that I have here. My fitness level, I think, compared to other athletes, is high because I have religiously followed the training plan, and I do think I am in probably the best shape of my life, although it doesn't always feel like it because the training itself is so taxing that I'm still exhausted at the end of it. And so you don't necessarily get that feeling of being insanely fit, which I feel like I associate more with doing something that sounded like it would be hard and it not being hard, which I can't say I've experienced at any point this summer. But in any case, I do think that my fitness is high relative to other athletes. My gear, I rated below average. I have tried to generally invest the minimum that I could in gear that I thought would at least give me a decently good experience, not necessarily optimizing for time. I don't have a tri-suit, and I'm going to take whatever time is required during the transitions to change into clothes that I will feel good in, feel comfortable in for each section of the race. I don't have a tri-bike. I have a road bike. I'm not going to rent wheels that will make me faster. I know there are plenty of things I could do, but I think I can get it done, and the gear that I have, I think I will enjoy using for many more years to come, so I feel good about the choices I've made there. I think my heat acclimatization is really strong. It's been really hot for a lot of our rides, and we're not very good at getting up early, so a lot of our rides have ended up finishing at noon, 1, 2 p.m., and then I've gone out and run right in the heat of the day. And I've done fine with it. I know how to handle it. I know how to mitigate it. I know how to dump water on myself and take in more salt. I think I can handle it if we get a hot day. I'm not saying I want an extra hot day, but if it happens, I think I'll be able to continue. My cold tolerance, on the other hand, is below average. I have pretty severe Raynaud's, and it affects my hands, and if we get a cold, rainy day like they had in 2022, 55 pouring rain all day, I do not think I will be able to finish. I'm not saying I will not start, but yeah, I don't know how anybody finished that day. That was miserable. One of my weakest areas, as previously noted, is GI stability. Gonna do everything I can to mitigate that, but knowing other people's stories, that could be something that takes me down on race day for sure. In terms of mental toughness, I rated myself completely average. I like to push myself. I like to try hard, but I don't really like to experience pain. And if I start cramping, I tend to get a bit of a bad attitude, and I start to get sad and frustrated that this wasn't the experience that I wanted. And I've seen that show up in some other races. So I don't see myself as one of those people who is strong and will push through it no matter what. I definitely sign up for these races thinking it'll be a fun time, and then if it's not a fun time, I have to do some recalculating in real time. But lastly, I think my strongest factor going into this race is the crowd factor, and by that I mean that if there are people cheering for me and they're calling out my name and they've got signs and they're cheering me around the course, I get a huge boost of energy. It really makes a huge difference for me. And just I know from having volunteered in the past that this race is really well supported by the whole Madison community. So it's not even just people who know me. I really get an extra pep in my step when people are cheering, and you can see that they've put in their time, that they're showing up and taking a significant portion of their Sunday to help all of us athletes finish. That's a huge deal to me. So I've got that on my side going into the race, and I think that will really help me combat any lack of mental toughness that I have.